They want you to believe Shia LaBeouf destroyed his own career, that he's just another out-of-control actor who drank too much, fought too hard, and burned every bridge he ever had. But what if that's the cover story? The second those words left his mouth, everything changed. Not because fans weren't ready to hear it, because Hollywood heard it loud and clear.
I'll be honest with you, big gay people are scary to me.
Didn't see that one coming.
When I'm like standing by myself and 3 gay dudes are next to me touching my leg, I get scared.
Uncomfortable, raw, the kind of thing no celebrity would ever say unless something deeper had already broken them.
She saved my life, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's like some kind of sage or like a, I don't know. She's a saint for me, because had she not intervened in my life and not created the avenue for me to experience ego death, I'd either have a really mediocre existence or I'd be dead in full.
But here's what nobody is connecting. Every time Shia got close to exposing what really happened to him, the machine didn't just punish him, it erased him. Steven Spielberg called Shia LaBeouf a Hollywood prodigy. By age 25, he'd earned more money than most people see in 10 lifetimes. He had the world. He had everything. And then, slowly, methodically, he started losing it all. But here's the thing about conspiracy-minded people: they don't believe in random downfalls, they believe in patterns. And when you line up Shia's arrests, his humiliations, his career nosedives with surgical precision across a decade, it stops looking like bad luck. It starts looking like a plan. To understand why Hollywood might have wanted him gone, you have to understand what he was running from and what he was running toward. Shia grew up broke in Echo Park. His dad was a Vietnam vet with PTSD so severe, he once pulled a gun on his own son during a flashback. His mother was barely holding it together. And when Shia's parents finally divorced, a 10-year-old boy did what broken kids do: he performed. He'd stand in front of his family and do stand-up comedy. Raw, adult material from a kid's mouth, cursing, jokes, things that would make you uncomfortable. But it worked. It made people laugh. It made him matter. And for a kid whose dad was high half the time and whose mom was drowning, mattering felt like survival. At 9, he stole sneakers. At 11, he stole a Game Boy. He was headed towards something dark, until he saw a kid in Malibu wearing expensive clothes. "What do you do?" Shia asked. "I'm an actor." That moment changed everything. Not because he wanted to be famous, because he needed the money. He needed to save his family. He needed to matter more than he already did. So, at 12 years old, Shia called an agent, pretended to be his own manager, and lied his way into representation. The agent signed him anyway, impressed by the confidence of a kid who had nothing to lose. Even Stevens made Shia a star. He played Lewis, the perfect mix of charming and chaotic. Emmy at 13, a Disney golden child. But here's what matters: his dad was on set with him every single day. A man still fighting his addictions, still abusive, still present. Shia was making $10,000 per episode. His family was staying in a $45 a night motel. His father was attending AA meetings between takes. And nobody at Disney, the most protective corporate machine in entertainment, stepped in. They just let a child actor support his broken family while his father spiraled next to him. That's not a side note, that's the entire story. Because in Hollywood, this is how you break someone. You find a talented kid with a broken home, put him to work, make him the adult in the room, and watch what happens to him when he realizes years later that nobody was protecting him. The system didn't accidentally let this happen. It designed it. From 2007 to 2009, Shia was untouchable. Transformers, Disturbia, Surf's Up, over $1 billion in total gross. He was the IT guy, the one every production company demanded, the one who made the studios money. But here's what changed the game. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Spielberg wanted him, Spielberg had him, and when the movie underperformed relative to expectations, when fans and critics turned on Shia, Spielberg turned on him too. Steven told him, "There's a time to be a human being and have an opinion, and there's a time to sell cars." Translation: you're here to make money. Your thoughts don't matter. Your humanity is a liability. And the moment Shia started showing cracks the DUI in 2007, the bizarre Walgreens incident where he fought with a security guard over forgotten cigarettes, the machine stopped protecting him. It started documenting him. It started building a case. Because what happened next wasn't random chaos. It was a pattern that insiders have been describing for years. Cat Williams laid it out plainly.
I'm saying that everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend, that seems like a setup, is.
Everything that happens in a business, everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend, that seems like a setup, is.
Yes. What I'm saying is, if Jussie Smollett and Lee Daniels for a living.
The implication is massive. In an industry built on telling fictional stories convincingly, why would we ever believe their scandals are real? Why would we think their takedowns are accidental? Mel Gibson described the same mechanism differently.
The social contract. You can't get mad. You can't get mad. You can't let it get you, because you have to make a deal with everyone else, and it's almost unspoken that you are going to be over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for.
The deal is you get rich, we get richer, and you shut up about how it works. But Shia didn't shut up. Shia's career started fracturing right on schedule after he began stepping out of line. Charlie Countryman flopped. He got fired from Orphans for being unprofessional to Alec Baldwin. But instead of staying silent, he posted the emails proving his side of the story. Then he plagiarized his own apology from a Yahoo Answers post. It looks crazy, but people close to him understood something else. Shia was starting to break, not in the crazy actor way, in the something happened to me and I'm trying to process it way. The plagiarism wasn't accidental. It was unconscious cry for help. A man so damaged by something he couldn't name that he was stealing other people's words because his own weren't working anymore. Then came the paper bag. 2014 Berlin Film Festival. Shia walked the red carpet with a brown paper bag over his head that read, "I am not famous anymore." This wasn't a publicity stunt. This was a man trying to opt out of his own life. What most people missed was the timing. What most people missed was what was happening behind the scenes, because right before the Berlin moment, Shia had started doing performance art, bizarre, uncomfortable pieces where he'd sit in a gallery for 6 days straight with a bag over his head and let people do whatever they wanted to him. That's not art. That's a man reenacting his own victimization. That's someone saying, here's what it feels like, here's what happens to me. Do you understand now? He was trying to show what he couldn't say. June 24th, 2014. Shia had a complete breakdown at Cabaret on Broadway, smoking indoors, shouting obscenities. He slapped Alan Cummings' ass. He was so drunk they had to arrest him. But this wasn't just alcoholism spiraling. This was a man drowning. And every time he went under, instead of a lifeline, he got cuffed. The magistrate issued a $100,000 bond for a misdemeanor incident. His attorney said it was disproportionate that no regular person would be held under those conditions for a minor crime.
No regular person would be required to post over $100,000 in bonds and be jailed 2 separate times for one misdemeanor incident. Just as he does not deserve preferential treatment, Mr. LaBeouf also does not deserve to be treated more harshly by the police and courts just because he is a public figure.
Then, the second he posted bail, a new accuser appeared with a video. New charges. Back in jail. Out again. Rinse, repeat. This is the moment the first transcript connects to Shia's biography. Because what happened next wasn't random. It was the machine working exactly as designed. Fast forward to Shia's YouTube interview after the New Orleans arrests. He's trying to explain what happened. He's trying to tell the truth. And what he reveals is something the machine absolutely cannot allow people to understand.
I'll be honest with you, big gay people are scary to me.
Didn't see that one coming.
When I'm like standing by myself and 3 gay dudes are next to me touching my leg, I get scared.
Stop there. Rewind. Listen to what he's actually saying beneath the words. He's describing being touched without consent. He's describing being surrounded. He's describing people invading his physical space in a way that triggers something primal in him, something that makes him snap, something that shouldn't be there in a confident, successful adult unless something broke it a long time ago.
I'm not gonna say that because my lawyer said, oh, dude.
It's okay. We can back up.
I am wrong for touching anyone ever, and that's the end of my statement on this one.
That's not a drunk man making excuses. That's a man whose lawyer is telling him to shut up because the next words out of his mouth would expose something much bigger. Fans and insiders started connecting dots. Terrence Howard spent an entire interview describing what happens to rappers who refuse to play along. He talked about Petey Pablo, a talented artist who called out what was happening in those rooms, who wrote a song about it, who refused to participate.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the homo taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore.
What happened to Petey Pablo? First, he spoke truth. Then, rumors appeared. Then, accusations. Then, he was radioactive. Then, he disappeared.
They accused him of fondling or touching someone at a bar.
Oh, yeah.
At a bar, and then they accused him of touching some some dude.
Now layer Shia's story on top of that template. Shia, former child actor with a broken home, forced to work as a kid, on set with an addict father, vulnerable, alone, present in a system known for exploitation. Years later, he starts talking about being touched without his consent as a young actor. He starts flinching when people get close. He starts refusing the normal trajectory. He moves into a monastery instead of back to a studio lot. He talks about rituals. He talks about his soul. He talks about refusing. The machine's response: here come the accusations. Here come the arrests. Here comes the financial bleeding. Here comes the moment where his own words get used against him, twisted, recontextualized as proof he's unstable. In 2019, Shia made Honey Boy, a film he wrote while in rehab, a film where he played his own father, the man he blamed for everything. The movie is about generational trauma, about an abusive father forcing his son into acting, about using a child for money, about passing pain down like inheritance. Critics loved it. Audiences wept. For a moment, Shia was redeemed. He was the broken kid finally making sense of his broken life.
I didn't just hurt that woman. The kind of shame my wife has to walk around with, you know, the pain that came to the people I was working with creatively. Even I built this, like, me and Bo built like something really special downtown, and all them kids, you know, I just failed a lot of people.
But here's what didn't make the cut. Shia later admitted he lied in that movie. He fictionalized his own childhood. He made his father into a monster. He created a victim narrative so convincing that the entire world believed it. And then, years later, during his podcast appearance on John Bernthal's show, he started to unpack what was really true.
My dad never hit me. Never. He spanked me once. One time. And the story that gets painted in Honey Boy is like this dude was like abusing his kid all the time. You know, my dad tried to keep me from smoking cigarettes. That's when he spanked me. He found me smoking cigarettes in the shower. He pulled me out. He spanked me. That's when he spanked me. But that wasn't my narrative, because it didn't position me as like this wounded, fractured child that you could root for, which is what I was using him for.
Let that sink in. Shia just admitted he created a false narrative of victimization to gain sympathy. He fictionalized abuse that didn't happen. Why would he do that? Because he was trying to explain something real, something he couldn't articulate by creating a metaphorical version his audience could understand. He was using his father as a stand-in for something else. Here's where the puzzle pieces converge. Shia LaBeouf was a child actor. His father was present on set. Hollywood was present on set. He was vulnerable, working, isolated, and dependent on adults around him to protect him. According to the first transcript, this is the environment where exploitation happens. Years later, Shia flinches when people touch him without consent. He gets scared when men get close. He talks about being touched without his consent in Hollywood when he was young. When he tries to explain this, he gets arrested for fighting. When he admits something happened, the narrative gets flipped to make him the aggressor. When he runs towards spirituality instead of back to the machine, he gets punished harder. He ran to God. Why? Because the only thing that could save him from what Hollywood had done was salvation itself, and the machine's response was more arrests, more accusations, more financial bleeding, more headlines making him look more dangerous and less employable. Then the Diddy raids happened. Federal agents disabled surveillance systems, seized footage, confiscated hard drives, phones, and electronics, looking for photos, emails, and names linking others to alleged trafficking operations.
Fox News alert, we're learning a lot more about the massive federal trafficking raid at Diddy's homes in Miami and LA. According to TMZ, the first thing the feds did once they got to Diddy's property was immediately disable his surveillance system and seize all his footage. And it wasn't just security footage they were after. Homeland Security also confiscated hard drives, phones, and other electronics, focusing on finding photos, emails, and names linking others to the alleged trafficking operation.
Over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, tapes, cameras, evidence of parties where young artists walked in thinking it was a networking opportunity and walked out having been broken. Terrence Howard's description suddenly wasn't theory anymore. It was federal evidence.
Back in the times of slavery, they had a thing called breaking the buck. That people in the industry are still making young rappers who have fought the worst of circumstances, being disenfranchised, being discounted, and then they finally like, I'm gonna put it into the music. I'm gonna do it in the music. I'm gonna get myself together, and they go and see someone and they tell them, okay, yeah, you got a deal.
The system hasn't changed, only the terminology. Now you understand why Shia had to be neutralized. He wasn't blacklisted because he was drunk. 1,000 actors drink. 1,000 actors get arrested. He was blacklisted because he was a child actor who survived the system. He started showing symptoms, flinching at touch, discussing boundaries, running from the industry. He tried to explain what happened using available language, his father's abuse as metaphor, his boundaries as trauma. When that didn't work, he did performance performance art reenacting victimization. When that didn't work, he literally moved into a monastery and said, "I refuse to do their rituals." The moment those words left his mouth, he became a threat, because if a man who made billions for the system stands up and says he was touched without consent, that he was exploited as a child, that he's seen the rituals and refused them, that testimony matters. That's dangerous. So the machine did what Cat Williams described.
In all of these situations, it's only the artist that's losing. Somebody makes big money. When these rappers get killed, not incidental. Somebody made $100 million and now don't have to talk to that artist or none of their crew, don't have to validate none of their contracts. Now only got to deal with the mama, only got to see her once a year, and it's over. And the money, he goes up and up.
Shia doesn't make money anymore. Studios don't have to validate his contracts. His career is neutralized. But in the process, the narrative got rewritten. He's crazy. He's unstable. He's a cautionary tale about ego and alcohol. Not, he's a man who survived exploitation and tried to tell about it. In 2021 and beyond, something shifted. Shia got quiet. He stayed out of trouble. He found peace with having a daughter. He reconciled publicly with his past actions.
I'm fully aware of that, and I'm going to owe for the rest of my life. And I also don't have that feeling about the woman who's accused me all this like I did in the beginning. When it first landed, I thought, man, there was I wanted to hit Twitter and be like, look, I got receipts, this, that, but this, but not that, but this, but not that. And the reality is, all of that is unimportant. The reality is that she saved my life, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's like some kind of sage, or like I don't know. She's a saint for me, because had she not intervened in my life and not created the avenue for me to experience ego death, I'd either have a really mediocre existence or I'd be dead in full.
He accepted the loss, he accepted the narrative. He accepted being the villain so he could survive. That's what the system demands. Not just your silence, your agreement with the story they tell about you. Hollywood is in panic not because Shia suddenly revealed something new. It's in panic because people are finally connecting the dots. One child actor, one broken family, one system designed to exploit and then erase. Multiply that by every actor who came through the system. Multiply that by the ones who didn't survive. Multiply that by the ones who are still trying to tell the truth and getting buried under new accusations, new arrests, new financial bleeding every time they speak. The Diddy raids weren't an anomaly. They were confirmation.
These tactics straight out of the Epstein playbook. Seize the footage, but then what? Bury it? Blackmail with it? We don't know. Will anybody ever know what was on Diddy's cameras? And will this investigation lead to indictments that go higher up the food chain? And how high? Politicians, athletes, celebrities, music executives, all were recorded inside Diddy's parties.
If the Diddy investigation goes where it should, it won't just implicate Diddy. It will confirm what Terrence, Mel, Kat, and Shia have all been trying to say. The system is designed to exploit, extract, humiliate, and silence. And the moment you refuse, the moment you talk about your soul instead of your salary, your boundaries instead of your box office, you become a problem that needs solving. Every arrest Shia had, every bizarre performance, every breakdown, every plagiarism scandal, every weird art piece where he let strangers do whatever they wanted to him. These weren't the actions of a man losing his mind. These were the actions of a man whose mind had already been broken by something he couldn't articulate, and he was trying desperately to show what he couldn't say.
I'm prepared to go every which way.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Man.
I think that it's my duty now. Like when I think about what my life has become and what it is now, like what my purpose is now, I need to be useful. And when I look at this Me Too environment, there's not a whole lot of dudes that are taking accountability.
He was one of the few men who actually tried to take accountability, and for that, he got crucified. Shia isn't in massive movies anymore, but he's not in jail either. He's alive, he has a daughter, he found faith, he survived. That's the blacklist. Not imprisonment, not death. Just removal from the system that was designed to use him. In Hollywood's eyes, that's mercy. That's what happens when you refuse the rituals and survive long enough to tell about it. You get to disappear quietly instead of spectacularly. But the panic isn't about Shia's fate. It's about what his story proves. The system is real. The exploitation is real. The method of silencing is real. And every actor in that town now knows that if they refuse, if they talk, if they try to expose, they'll get the same treatment. That's the terror. Not Shia, but what Shia means.
I felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slipped firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart. And I've actually felt the whole thing and I've gone, ah! Wait till next week, or I'll think you, and you'll resent it for a little while, then you have to let it go. Otherwise, you'll eat yourself alive.
That's Hollywood's real message to anyone thinking about following Shia's path. Let it go, or it will eat you alive. Shia LaBeouf was blacklisted, not because he drank too much or fought too hard or failed at being professional. He was blacklisted because he was a child who survived exploitation, grew up, realized what happened to him, and started, however imperfectly, however chaotically, trying to tell the truth about it. And Hollywood, which runs on the silence of people like him, couldn't allow that. So they buried the real story under 1,000 smaller stories. The arrests, the scandals, the bizarre behavior, the plagiarism, the feuds, the mental health spiral, each one real, each one devastating, but each one designed to make sure that when you looked at Shia LaBeouf, you didn't see a man telling you about the system. You just saw a cautionary tale about what happens when you can't control yourself. That's the blacklist. That's how it works. And Shia was just one of thousands who learned the lesson.
Everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend.
If you're watching this, you now understand it was a setup. All of it, from the beginning.